and welcome back to Rare Roo Crafts. I'm Sarah and I'm on today to share with you a project that I have been making using this fabulous die set sent to me by Beebeecraft. So I got to select a few things from them to have a play with and to try, and this earring making set was something that I fancied having a go at. So it came with all of these dies. There's 20 something dies there, some ear wires and some jump rings. And you can see all these different shapes for making earrings. I haven't tried to cut leatherette or leather or anything like that with it yet. I'm sure they will, but I haven't actually had a go. I've been making paper earrings, and I thought I'd show you how I've been making them. So first of all, I'll show you what I've been making. So the first pair that I made were these, which are little hand-painted scenes. So it's just like a little foresty scene with a sky. I just painted them. I used watercolour paper. The back, I've used some jelly print on the back there. I've got some jelly prints that I'd done on tissue paper, and I've used those. And obviously I've just signed them on the back there. And then I've actually used resin on these, so they're super sturdy. However, the resin was quite hard to get it to go on, really smooth and without any brush strokes. So I decided to have a go at something else. So that was the first pair. They're lovely and I will wear them. They are super cute. I just wasn't overly keen on the resin. So then I had another go, but this time I've just used an acrylic varnish. Which worked really, really well because I was able to dip them into the varnish, let the varnish drip and drain off the bottom, and yeah, I got a better finish with the varnish. So I've made loads. I've had so much fun with these dies. I have made an absolute ton of earrings. My kids are fighting and arguing over who's having what. So I made these star ones, which have got a little bead at the top there. And most of these ones I've made using my own handmade papers. So some of them, like these, are jelly prints. This is some paper marbling that I did. And then I've got jelly prints and things on the back of the earrings. I've got these lovely Monstera leaves, which I just got a piece of paper and I did a gradient green effect just with some watercolour paint, and then I splashed a little bit of gold on the top of that one. Again, it's got a bit of jelly print on the back there, and then at the top I've just used the little glass beads that I also got from Beebeecraft, which are just these little tiny 4mm glass beads. And then a little stone chip bead that I just got out of my stash that I've put in there as well. Just see if I can get some better light so that you can actually see them. Like that. What else did we do? I've got these ones, which are the circles. And instead of layering the card on this one, I made a little dangle out of these are the seed beads that I got these from Beebeecraft ages and ages ago, but they are irregular, so the hole in them isn't central. They're like an irregular bead and they stack brilliantly. They give you that really lovely sort of quirky stacked effect, which I really like. So I used those, and it's the same bead that I used on the star actually. And then I made these ones. So these ones I actually used just some patterned paper out of a little paper pad, out of a paper block, just something like this. And then I've used a jelly print on the back of that. And then I've got the little glass bead, and then again I've got a little stone bead just above that. Same on this one, little glass bead and a proper stone bead. These ones, I'd got this really brilliant piece of jelly print that I'd done ages ago with the numbers on, which I really thought was cool. So I've shaped these ones and used jelly print on both the front and the back, and I put a little stone and one of the little glass beads, and then the other pair that I did was these. And again, this is my own paper. I did some marbling with like a marbling kit that I've got, or some marbling inks that I've got. I did a little bit of paper marbling, and then I've turned that into earrings. So those are what I've been making, and I thought I'd show you how I made them, because to say that they're paper, they're dead sturdy. I mean, you could bend them if you really wanted to, but you know, they definitely would stand up to being worn, and because they are varnished, you can wear them out in the rain and stuff as well, and they're not going to sort of turn to mush in your ears. So those are what I've been making. Pop them in there, out the way. The children will be after those in a bit. So let's have a look at what we've got. So the way that I've made mine is using layers and layers and layers and layers of paper. So here we go. That's one that I've already done of this one. So all I've done is start off by cutting whichever shape I want. I've cut it 4 times. This is just a cheap watercolour paper. It's the Dale Rowney one that you can get in the pound shop at the moment. That's what I've used for this one. Just looking for my glue. And then just some tacky glue. And all I do is I start by layering up the card pieces or the paper pieces first, so the plain pieces. So as you can see, I've cut the 4 layers just out of the white, and you want to make sure that you use plenty of glue because it does need to go all the way to the edge. So I smush it about a little bit to make sure that it's got all the way up to the edge. And if it's coming out, that's absolutely fine. That's what you want. You want it to sort of seep out the edges a bit, because that means it's gone all the way to the edge. And then I'm lining it up so that that hole is totally lined up. And I'm going to do all 4 of the paper layers in that same way. If you have got, the whole piece left in, just make sure you flick it out before you stick it down, because you don't want it to get glued in place. Again, I'm just moving that about on there just to spread that glue about a little bit. And it doesn't matter too much if I get the glue on the paper, on the front of the paper at this point, because obviously this isn't going to be the final layer that you're going to see. So it doesn't matter if it's a bit sort of messy at this stage. And then again, with that final one. And again, it's just making sure that you've got enough glue that it is going to come all the way to that edge when you put your next layer on. And again, I'm just smushing that about a bit, make sure it all gets covered. I'm just going to put my pin in there because I think that's, yeah, making sure it's lined up, but it was actually full of glue. Okay, so it's already quite a bit sturdier because we've now got 4 layers of the watercolour paper instead of just the one. And now I'm going to put my top layer on. So this is just patterned paper from this paper block. So it's fantastic for those little tiny blocks of paper that you pick up because you love the patterns in them, but then you struggle to know what to do with them because they're a bit on the small side. This is the perfect project for those papers. So then again, I'm just going to lather this in white glue. Like so. And you can spend more time lining yours up than me. But obviously I'm trying to do it quickly for the video. And then I use a bit of kitchen roll for this bit to squeeze this bit, just because I don't want the glue coming out and making mucky marks on my paper, because obviously this is going to be my finished edge on this one. And then I'm going to do the same on the back. So when I cut this back paper, I turned my paper upside down so that I get the, which is really important if it's not a symmetrical die, I cut it from the wrong side so that when I flick it over, it's the pattern side that's going to show, if that makes sense. Don't know if that made sense. And then again, I'm going to give that a good squeeze with my bit of kitchen roll, getting any excess glue off. Just work on making sure those pieces are all lined up nicely. Wipe away any excess glue that comes out. And then what I do is I put them under something heavy for a few hours and let that glue totally and utterly set off. So with the others, I think I left it overnight and just let that glue really, really, really dry. You can, if you want to at this stage, start adding a little bit of shaping. So you'll have noticed on some of these, they've got some real shape to them. So some of them I've done by twisting. That I actually put it over my glue bottle, like that, and just sort of rubbed it over the glue bottle. Because I haven't done it to this one, I'm going to let this one, I'm going to put this under something heavy and let it dry, and then I'll shape them once they are dry. And that way they're both going to shape the same, otherwise one might end up shaping more than the other. So once they have dried off, and I've got another pair here that I sort of got to that point where they are dried off, we can now start to think about, you know, what we want to do in terms of shaping them. So I could do these as bits together, or I could leave them, you know, make separate earrings out of them. What I think I'm actually going to do is I'm going to shape this bit to go in the centre of here, because I think that looks really cute. And then I'll do these ones as separate earrings. So to shape them, obviously you need to sort of go steady. Don't just bend at it, because otherwise what's going to happen is you will crack it. So it is easier to do this if you do it while the glue is still wet, because it's just much more pliable at that point. But I didn't with these, so trying to think what I want to do with this one. I think I want to curl it inwards, so I'm going to gently push it in towards the barrel of the pen, like that. And again, if you did that while it was wet and then put your piece of paper on, you wouldn't get so much creasing in the centre of it. But I don't mind a little bit of creasing, so it's all good. So those are going to go in the centre of the other ones. These ones, I'm just going to take a little pair of tweezers, and I've got some nylon grips here. They just happen to be what's to hand. And I'm just going to give it a little twist. Nothing much, just a little twist to bring some shape into them. There we go. And just a little bend with my fingers. And there we have it. So they've got a little bit of shape. Now I want to do something with the edges so that you don't see the raw edges. Now you could go over it with a pen. I like to use a bit of a distress ink. So I've got some festive berries, and I'm just going over like so. Just around the edge like that. And then I'm going to take picked raspberry, and I'm going to take my ink pad directly to the earring. If you've got any bits that are a bit sort of jaggedy or, you know, really didn't line up well, you can take a nail file and just knock the edge off. The finer your nail file, the finer your sort of finish will be on it. Or you could use really fine grade sandpaper as well. But be aware, obviously, if you've put ink on, it might take some of that ink off. And again, you could, if you wanted to, go in with dark enough one. You could go in with this is just a Copic marker, an alcohol marker, and just down the edges, like so. And because this is ink, obviously, you know, like a wet ink, it will absorb in. The only thing is, if you've got a lot of white glue coming out, sometimes some things won't take to the white glue as well. But I find the alcohol markers are pretty good, or Sharpies, they're good. The other thing that you can do is go for like a paint pen. So this is a Uni paint marker. This is a silver one, if I can get the lid off. There we go. Get that going. And you can go all around the edge. And this just helps to blend those layers in so that you don't sort of notice the layers so much. Not that I mind, because I like the fact that these are paper. And I think, you know, being a lover of paper, I really love the fact that they're made of just layers and layers of paper. And they're so, you know, quick, easy, simple, using the stuff that, you know, other than the little kit, using the stuff that you've got in the house. You could make earrings for days. You know, you'd never need to wear the same pair of earrings more than once, would you? Because you could just keep going and keep going and keep going and just, you know, keep making them with all your various different lovely papers and, you know, all the rest of it. So those are for the other pair. So I'm going to put them to one side, and we'll actually turn these ones. We will glaze these ones. I just need to get the varnish. Okay, so this is the varnish that I use. It is just a household varnish. It's one I already had in the house. It is Ronseal interior varnish. This is the gloss clear, and it's the diamond hard one. I use this on everything, absolutely everything, furniture-wise and stuff like that. And I thought, you know what? If these don't last forever, it's okay. They're paper earrings. They will more, you know, this varnish is more than adequate for what I'm looking for. So because I've put a water reactive ink on here, I've put the distress ink on, I'm going to start off by putting a brushed layer of the varnish on, and that's just so that I seal in that that ink that I've put on there and don't contaminate my varnish pot. If I dunk this straight in to my varnish pot now, I'd end up with a little bit of that ink going into my varnish pot. How do I know that? Because I did it. Yes, I did. Yes, yes, yes. Oops. Dropping it. This is dead quick. It dries really quickly, particularly because we're only putting a super thin coat on. So I just made some little wire. So this is just bits of craft wire curved at two ends, and then I'll just hang that on a piece of dowel that I've got in my craft room, or off my light hooks, or off my overhead lights, things like that, whatever. I'll just hang them and dangle them and let them dry a little bit. Once this layer has dry, I can then just take them by that wire, dip the whole thing straight into the varnish, drain off a bit, you know, into the pot, so I lose as little of the varnish as I can, and then I just sort of leave them dripping over a piece of waste card, and I'll dunk them probably 2 or 3 times to give them a really good, really solid coat of the varnish. So, and pop the wire in like so. Pop that up here. Now, with these ones, because I didn't use the water reactive varnish on these ones, the water reactive ink on these ones, I can just go straight into the ink. So, all I do is literally put the pendant, the earring, onto a piece of this craft wire. I've got a scrap of card over here, which I will use to drip my earring into, but I literally just dip it all the way into the varnish, lift it up, let it drain, and I let it, you know, drain off as much as you can, dangle it about a bit, and it comes off a bit quicker. Tap it on the side of me varnish jar, and then I will hang that over my scrap cereal box on the dowel, and that will, you know, I'll get the odd drip and that come off of it, but I get a really, really nice thick layer of the varnish that way. And like I say, I do that a few times, and then I get really sort of weather resistant earrings. So I'm just going to go and hang this one up. So now that they are varnished, obviously this one's not, I've not done this one yet. What you would then want to do is think about, you know, stringing them up, beading them, whatever. They do come with the ear wires and some jump rings. And like I say, I got these beautiful glass beads as well, but I've also got quite a lot of stone, proper natural stone beads. I love stone beads, so I've been using some of those as well. So, thinking of what colours we've got. Let's go with they're pretty. So these are frosted agate. So I'm going to pick a couple, and I want some that haven't got too much of the brown on these ones. Don't mind a little bit, but I don't want too much on it. So those are the ones that I'm going to use for this, and they are 6mm. And then and choose a couple from here. And I like that sort of deep purpley plummy colour. But I think I will also, if I've got a couple, I've used loads of pink. Most of the earrings I made are pink. So I'm going to go with some pink of those. I might have to order another bag of these because they are fantastic. They're just the right size for just finishing off a project. And then I have got, just out of my stash, I've got a couple of eye pins. So again, I've picked silver because obviously I'm going with the silver fittings. Now you could just put a jump ring through there and attach your earring hook, and that would look really, really pretty. But I like to add a few little crystals and things. So to do that, I am taking the crystals and the piece of agate, and then I want my round nose pliers, and I'm going to hold the bottom there, and I'm going to hold these quite close, push it to the side, and turning my pliers up the other way and bringing it back over, and then bringing my pliers onto the top. So I've made like that sort of hook shape. Looks a bit like a sort of pelican. I'm going to straighten that up a little bit, and then with my little chain nose pliers, these are brilliant. These came from Beebeecraft. They're mini chain nose pliers, and they're perfect because they sit right in the palm of my hand, and I just feel like I've got so much more control with these than I do with normal chain nose pliers. And then all I'm doing is keeping my beads down towards the bottom. I am wrapping the end of this wire around the stalk just above the beads, like that. And then I'm going to take my snips, which are also from Beebeecraft. I really like these ones. They're the Beebeecraft tools. They're brilliant. Got to get that right in there. And then, where's my... some curved nose pliers there. They hold on a bit better. Holding on to that end, I'm just going to smush that bit of wire that I've just cut so that I've not got any sharp bits, and just straighten up and smooth out that loop a little bit. Get that the way that I want it. And then all I would do is I would put a jump ring from whichever way round I want it. With those ones I think I'd go that way on. So I'd put a jump ring, one of the bigger jump rings, through the top of the earring, and then I've actually got some tiny little jump rings, some little 4mm jump rings, and I would use that to attach to the top of there and to the ear wire, and that would make the earring. I'm not going to do it on this one because obviously I've got to varnish this and it's going to be part of the other earring set. But that's how I make the little dangles to go with it. And then you end up, once you've sort of used your jump rings to put all of that together, obviously that's what you then end up with, is your beautiful handmade paper earrings that are just lovely. And you can, you know, the variety that you can make is just endless, and because they're so small, you can use up scraps of paper. So that, you know, those beautiful bits of paper that, you know, if you're anything like me, if I've got like a beautiful graphic 45 paper or something, I can't quite bring myself to use those last scraps. I'm like, I can't throw them away. They're not really big enough to do anything with, but they're so beautiful I can't throw them away. Well, this would be the perfect project for that sort of thing, because obviously you only need the tiniest of scraps. You can use your own handmade papers, your own hand marbled papers. You know, you literally, there's just no end to the creativity that you can utilise to make these earrings. And as you can see from the hundreds of millions of pairs that I've been making, it's really good fun. And once I got started, I was like, oh, that's, you know, I need to, oh, what about that shape, and what about that colour, and what about that paper? And I just was, yeah, just going and going and going. And the kids now keep coming down, and I might have another go at doing some hand painted ones, but not put the resin on this time, because as much as I like that really tough finish of the resin, I just found it really hard to get a streak free. I suppose if you're much more sort of proficient with resin, I'm not very good with resin. It's not something I've, you know, done loads of. I play with it a bit, but it is just sort of playing with it. So if you're much more au fait with resin and how to lay down resin without getting streaks and stuff, you probably would be absolutely fine to use the resin. So yeah, fantastic fun. Probably one of the most fun things that I've bought craft-wise, or had craft-wise recently, has been this little kit. And you know, you don't have to just use them for earrings. You can make tassels and charms and, you know, things like that for pocket letters, and to go in junk journals and that sort of thing. You could just use the shapes. You could make some really gorgeous little Christmas decorations with these. Can you imagine that, with a little bit of Christmas paper or a Christmas scene painted on there, some beads, and hang that on the Christmas tree with some bigger crystals hanging down? That would be gorgeous. We might have to do some of those at Christmas, because they would be absolutely stunning. So it is, you know, it is a really versatile little kit, and I'm really glad that I've got that in my stash. So as always, the links to the kit and these little beads will be in the description box below this video, along with the discount code for Beebeecraft. So go along and have a look if you fancy getting any of this and having a play for yourself. That's it from me for now. I'm going to go away and tidy up a little bit, finish varnishing the earrings that I've got made. Next time, my next video for Beebeecraft, I will be using this die set. I have already cut the letters out. It cut out really nicely, and they are super fun. So yeah, I've got an idea of what I want to do with these. So that will be my video next week for Beebeecraft. So that's it from me for now. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed having a look at what I have made with these earring dies and how I went about creating them. If you've got any questions, please leave them in the description box below this video and I will do my best to answer you as soon as I can. That's it from me for now, and I hope to see you all again very, very soon in another crafty video. Bye for now.